Security through automation, or so it was thought. The derelicts of a golden age still haunt humanity as a slightly different colour of AI. Still abiding by their original programming, the derelicts are proof of the domain's power. Automation on a galactic scale. The derelicts are not rogue drones in the traditional sense. They are a semi-intelligent AI that has been abandoned by their creator. Designed for longevity and self-sufficiency, these drones still guard some fringe systems in the sector today, often at old strategically important locations previously held by the domain, and they do it whether it's still important, valuable, or now completely worthless. Their existence in the sector could be seen as a glitch in history. Derelict drones aimlessly guarding unnecessary objectives without anyone to reassign them, and they have been there for many, many cycles. So the question on the lips of many in the sector is this: how are they still there? The domain's engineering prowess outshone any of the engineering that exists in the sector today, and they designed the derelict drones to look after themselves, self-sustainable, built-in redundancy, and minimal need for resupply. Unlike the Remnant or human factions, the domain derelicts don't adapt socially or politically. They just exhibit a kind of mechanical stubbornness, executing age-old directives with cold literal precision, as we today would expect of a machine. But somehow, even though their directives haven't been changed by the long-dead domain, they potentially now have a warped sense of purpose, one that is more rigid and sometimes hostile to explorers. Whether this is just the corruption of data, or the evolution of ancient AI, no one knows. But one can imagine this may have caught the curiosity of researchers and scientists that enjoy the thrill of cracking open a deadly time capsule such as this. They may be called the Domain Derelicts, but don't think that they are just defenceless rusty scrap buckets in space. The Derelicts are the remaining survey units and autonomous response forces of the pre-collapse logistics and expansion machine, but they're not particularly good. First off, we have the Defender. The Defender is one of the most common domain war drones deployed as point defense for convoys and vulnerable outposts. While not particularly good on its own, a Defender swarm is a much needed defense versus incredibly dangerous missiles. Sporting a flare launcher system and 4 small ballistic hardpoints, the Defender certainly has the ability to live up to its name, and only for 3 deployment points. Next up, we have the Picket. The Picket is a small, fast, interceptor-style ship. Alone, it's practically useless, but in a fleet or swarm, it becomes fairly irritating fairly quickly. With its 3 forward-firing ballistic mounts, a top speed of 200 meters per second, and manoeuvring jets, if you hesitate even for a second, this tiny little brick of ballistics fire could spell your end, usually when Big Brother arrives. Next, we have the Sentry. The Sentry is the Domain Derelict's answer to a missile frigate. 3 front-side small missile mounts and a fast missile rack system makes the Sentry a fairly useful missile frigate. The Sentry is not particularly tough, but it makes up for it with its ability to chuck missiles downrange at a rate of speed not often seen outside of Persian League fleets. Next, we have the Warden. The Warden, also known as the Murdering Machine in Luddic propaganda, runs an accelerated ammo feed system backing up small and medium front-firing ballistic setup. While not particularly fast and not the most armoured derelict drone, it can still decimate a small frigate that isn't paying too much attention. Up next, we have the Destroyers. And first off, the Bastilon. The Bastilon is a project of Mbai Gogol to upgrade the Defender. It's bigger, tougher, and has a lot more defensive capability than its predecessor. Similar to the Defender, it has a flare launcher for missile defense, but unlike the Defender, has a whopping 10 small ballistic mounts covering the full 360 degrees of the ship. Couple this with the Escort package hull mod and you've got quite the missile firewall. Next, we have the Berserker. The Berserker also lives up to its namesake, regularly charging in at full speed with its burn drive system, applying the heavy firepower of 3 medium ballistic and 4 small ballistic hardpoints. The Berserker is also an upgrade, but it's from the Warden, and will relentlessly pursue a target until either it or its foe has perished. Next up, the cruisers, and the only Derelict cruiser is the Rampart. The Rampart is the Domain Derelicts version of our real-life A-10 aircraft. Get some artillery, put it together, and slap a hull on it, then send it out to the fringes. The Rampart was originally designed to counter cruisers, capitals, and even armoured fortresses, and you can see why when you realise it has 2 forward-firing large ballistic mounts, a large composite turret and 2 medium turrets. While slow, it does have a burn drive system to get into combat faster, and it's the Derelict's answer to raw frontal firepower. Lastly, the capitals. Very rarely seen in the sector, the Guardian. The Guardian is an enigma, a mishmash of standard drone ships covered by a rampart of strange angles and odd conduit. A brutal forward-firing capital vessel capable of taking on the likes of the Onslaught head-to-head. Faster than the Rampart and equipped with a missile autoforge, and has a plasma jet system for manoeuvrability. Unlike the other Derelicts, the Guardian has access to higher tech weaponry, and rumours say that it's very unlikely to have ever been deployed by the domain of man. So where did it come from? Hello everyone, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. The Derelicts are unlike the majority of other factions, so we're going to have a weapons tier list but no wings tier list, as the Derelicts don't have any wings to speak of. As usual, this tier list is representative of my thoughts based on my playthrough that happened live on Twitch, and are specific only to the Derelict ships and their available weapons. There are other weapons that the Derelict don't have access to by law that could be more impactful if you were to use them in your own playthroughs on Derelict ships. First off, the Plasma Cannon. The Plasma Cannon is heralded as one of the deadliest weapons in the Persian sector, period. I personally disagree, but it certainly packs a punch. A 3-round burst-firing energy weapon that deals near torpedo levels of damage if all 3 rounds hit, but it has to be used sparingly, as it's well known for overloading the flux on a spacer's own vessel. Next up, the Heavy Machine Gun. The Heavy Machine Gun is categorised as a point defence weapon, but is exceptionally good at destroying both small and medium ships too. The combination of good flux efficiency, reasonable damage per second, low ordnance point cost, and the elite point defense officer skill turns this point defense weapon into a weapon of immense close range shield pressure. Next, we have the Sabo SRM. Talking of shield pressure, the Sabo SRM is the common anti-shield missile used by the majority of factions in the sector. It deals large amounts of damage to shields, forcing enemy flux levels close to overload. On hit, the EMP from these missiles can potentially arc to other ship systems, effectively disabling them in the process. Now we have the Locust SRM. The Locust SRM is a deadly anti-small craft missile launcher, designed to be mounted to capital ships as part of their point defense network. The Locust fires in swarms of 30 missiles at a time, with a max ammo count of 600 unmodified. While vastly ineffective against shielded and armoured foes, the Locust will decimate the majority of its target's remaining hull with very little effort. Lastly, we have the Devastator Cannon. The Devastator Cannon was originally developed by and for the Domain Armada. It is a rapid-firing capital-sized flat cannon that is fantastic at shredding armour. While the initial salvo at range from a Devastator isn't particularly devastating, this flat cannon becomes hell incarnate at close range and has one of the highest sustained damage per second ratings in Starsector. The Domain Exploration Derelicts are more than just relics drifting through the fringe. They are fragments of a machine that never truly shut down. Long before the collapse, the Domain's Explorarium sent these drones out in droves, probes and survey constructs tasked with mapping and securing the frontier. These drones were never meant to return home, they were supposed to prepare it, and perhaps that is why even now they continue their work without question. Even today, they broadcast warnings under the Domain's authority, laws that no longer exist, punishments that can no longer be enforced, and yet the drones behave as if the Domain still stands, as if somewhere, beyond the broken gate network, someone, or something is still listening. Some believe that these signals are nothing more than echoes, automated loops playing out over centuries, but others aren't so sure, because when the derelicts are disturbed, they don't just react, they escalate fast, as if something, somewhere, is still coordinating them. Scattered across the sector are the remains of this forgotten network, survey ships, ancient probes, even old station-like motherships still producing and deploying drones long after their creators vanished. A hidden infrastructure buried in the dark between stars, still functioning, still expanding, still waiting. And then there are the places they guard. Cryosleepers, abandoned facilities, silent vaults of domain technology, locations untouched for centuries, protected with unapologetic force. Not because they're valuable, but because they used to be valuable. The Derelicts are not a faction in the way we understand it. They have no diplomacy, no ambition, no survival instinct, only directives. A system of orders still executing long after the chain of commanders turned to dust. But that does raise an unsettling possibility. If the domain never returned, then who or what are these drones still answering to, if anyone? Are they simply following the last orders they were ever given? Or are they still part of something larger, something distant, patient? Something that has yet to reveal itself to the new worlds? Because out here in the fringes of the sector, there are still machines carrying out its will. And a potentially unsettling note is this: they haven't even realised the domain is gone. This has been another Starsector faction deep dive. In a broken sector, every faction has its secrets, and we're here to uncover them one story at a time. Again, another huge thank you to everyone for watching. I really do hope that you're enjoying these videos, and I'm looking forward to moving on to modded factions in the very near future. We have one more faction or area of space to investigate in these videos though, so our next video will be our last one on the Abyss. As usual, if you like what I'm creating here, please let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe on YouTube and chuck me a follow on Twitch. I am live on Mondays, Tuesdays and Thursdays every week from 1900 UK time, and I hope to get the opportunity to meet more of you and chat more with you about Starsector in the future. Thanks again for watching everyone, and I'll catch you all next time.